So this is how one line in the book For the Fans by Nyla K allowed me to figure out the timeline for pretty much everything that happens in the book, at least up to a certain point. Hi, if you guys are new here, my name is Alexandria, and you might know me as the person who just recently started reading a horror movie based on how much violence is in it. But I am currently rereading my top favorite, if not my favorite, romance novel, and that is For the Fans by Nyla K. I want to say I discovered it maybe last year or the year before because I follow a lovely creator named Tierney Reads here on TikTok. And one day she brought it up in a video, and not long after that, I decided to check it out and read it, and I absolutely loved it. I laughed, I cried. It's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. But without further ado, let's talk about the one line that allowed me to piece together exactly when everything takes place. Now, what you see behind me is a picture that I took of chapter 17, page 222. And before I read what it says, let me just give a very brief synopsis of the book. It's about these two stepbrothers named Avi and Kyron. And Avi's mom meets Kyron's dad at some point, and the two do not get along, like at all. But it's more one-sided, like Kyron really doesn't like Avi. Avi doesn't really care too much, but basically they're forced to be together because they're now stepbrothers. And at some point, I'm not really sure when, Kyron's dad, who is very rich, ends up losing the company that he owns and basically going bankrupt, from what I could gather. And the boys find out that they're not going to be able to stay in college because they have no money. And to make a long story short, one of Avi's friends tells him about OF. And so he decides to make an account. He gets really successful with it. And eventually, albeit very reluctantly, he gets Kyron on board too. And in chapter 17, he briefly talks about the anonymous Twitter account that he made to promote the account. So, like I said, this is chapter 17, page 222. And it's Kyron speaking about Avi in this little section here. In the interest of getting him off my back, figuratively I guess, God help me, I pull up Twitter on my phone and whip together a quick profile. I have a Twitter account, but I never use it. I only made it because of the hype when the app first started. Before I realized everyone on there was pretty obnoxious. But I guess it's the best place to promote online S-work because of the lack of censorship. There's a corn side of Twitter I never knew about until Avi showed me his account. The kind of stuff that would make Mark Zuckerberg wet his tidy whities. Apparently, Elon Musk has a different set of guidelines. Now, I had to do a Google search because I had this completely wrong. But Elon actually bought Twitter. Well, he completed the purchase in April of 2022. So I went from there and took down a few notes, as you can see here. The book's original publication was sometime in February of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So from there, I just figured that Avi's mom and Kyron's dad had to have met at the beginning of summer in June. Then they get engaged 6 months later in December and move in together over the Christmas break. And then this is directly mentioned in the book. Chapter 4 takes place exactly 1 year after the engagement. Then chapter 5 takes place another year after the wedding, during Avi and Kyron's freshman year of college. And then chapter 6 is only about 4 months later, in their sophomore year. So, based on all of that, from chapters 1 through 4, Avi is 16, as he mentions in the first chapter, making Kyron around 15. And then chapter 4, which is 1 year later, Avi is 17 and Kyron is about 16. Chapter 5, another year later, Avi is 18 and Kyron is around 17, as they are entering college for the first time. And then chapter 6, 4 months later during sophomore year, Avi should be around 19 and Kyron should be approaching 18 if he hasn't turned 18 already. And then we get to chapter 7, where Kyron mentions his 19th birthday, making Avi around 20 years old. And I estimated it to be about an 8-month difference, give or take. So, given all of that evidence, let's break it down. I concluded that chapters 1 and 2 take place in June of 2019, when Avi's mother and Kyron's dad first meet. Then chapter 4 is another year later, which would put the story in about December of 2020, followed by another year in chapter 5, which I just decided to place in or around the fall of 2021. And I'll explain why in a second. But chapter 6, I concluded, takes place very early in 2022, possibly January or February, somewhere around there. And let me explain why. So, since Kyron mentioned Elon Musk buying Twitter in chapter 17, I concluded that chapters 7 through 18 is about an 8-month span, from April to December of 2022, because there's no way he would know about Elon buying Twitter and the sale hasn't gone through prior because it hadn't happened yet. So that's basically how one line in the book led me to this timeline, and hopefully it's accurate. If not, I try my best, but I think it is. Hopefully.